Okay, it's been a few days since my last recording, so we're just gonna pick it straight back up. After that, Shadow Creature jumped on Cameron. Cameron is suffocating. Just moments ago, he'd been gasping for breath, feeling the invisible dread creeping up his back, the deafening static growing in his ears. But now, it's completely black, and something has its limbs around him, fingers over his mouth and nostrils. Thrashes around, or at least he tries to. He goes through the motions, but there's no sensation of movement. A straining inhale of air drones right next to his ear, the thing pressing its head to the side of his face. Cameron begs it to let go, tries to call for help. Devin was right in front of him only seconds ago. Or minutes? The voice in his head returns. Or hours. Or has it been years? Doesn't matter when you're dead. Cameron does think that he's died, and that he's in hell. Of course he'd end up there. There is no hell. This is death. This is what happens to everyone, Cameron. Cameron realizes then that it's not the thing holding on to him that's speaking to him. Because now is when it starts to speak, but it's not a voice he expects. No! Get away! A woman's voice. Stupid fucking cunt! Cheating whore! A man's voice, a sickening thud. The tone of the static changes, and Cameron knows he's listening to something different moment. He's dead. You can stop now. Nah, he's still twitching. And it continues. It sounds like someone screaming through a gag, a woman sobbing, a man begging. But then there's a shift, and though most of the voices were women, they become almost exclusively young men. You let me go, I won't tell you. You let me go, I won't tell anyone, I swear to God. No me mates, por favor. Stop, just stop. And then the voices blend together and go on and on and on. Meanwhile, Cameron goes limp, giving up, feeling as one with the voice that comes next. Don't you just kill me? Devin watches as Cameron's body just goes limp. And though he tries to leap forward and catch him, the coyote slips to the ground at his feet. The bear instantly picks him up, or tries to. Though it's something he'd done many times before, he'd never done it while Cameron was so completely lifeless, and he struggles with Coyote's dead weight. Cameron! Cameron! He lays the coyote out on his back, hoping he just wakes up. What the fuck was that? Dude, what the hell was that thing? Whatever it was just seemed to absorb into Cameron, disappearing in an instant. Devin doesn't care. 2 days ago, he would have thought he'd almost give anything to see something like that. Now it doesn't seem to matter at all. Cameron's chest that had been heaving seconds ago isn't moving at all now. Fuck! Artie, he's not breathing, man. What do we do? Holy shit, maybe chest compressions, right? Right? The panic is threatening to overwhelm the bear. His peripheral vision dimming, going dark, and he has to rest a paw next to Cameron's head to steady himself. He can't pass out now, otherwise Cameron would only have Artie to help him, and the cat is seemingly frozen, his fingers twisting into his head fur. Why is this even happening? Why would he just stop breathing? Devin tries to tilt Cameron's head back, straightening his torso so he can breathe. Come on! Breathe, Cam. Just breathe, please. Devin rubs at Cameron's chest. It's such a desperate, useless gesture. Do you know how to do CPR? No! Dev readies himself, wishing he could remember a single useful thing from the one day he learned about CPR in high school. All he remembers is tittering with his classmates about the female mannequin's chest and how they had to touch it. His vision blurs as he uselessly places his paws, one over the other on Cameron's chest. And then a droning, ragged wheeze comes from the coyote's mouth. Oh my god, Cam? Another labored wheeze. He's breathing! He's breathing, right? That's right, Cam. Keep going, baby. He is, but it's still strained, like something heavy is on his chest. Not sure of what else to do, Devin pulls Cameron into a sitting position, leaning the coyote against his body, and Cameron gasps. Oh, thank fucking God. Just keep breathing like that, honey. Yes! Even Artie is crying, wiping his eyes as he laughs. Oh, what just attacked him? You saw that thing, right? Or am I crazy? Devin shakes his head. I don't know what it was. I don't know. Now Devin just needs Cameron to regain consciousness so he knows he's okay for sure. Never had he seen evidence of or believed that the supernatural could physically harm the living. Let's get out of this forest, dude, in case it comes back. Yeah, alright. He's very careful with how he moves Cameron, terrified that his breathing might stop again. But as he stands, cradling Cameron in his arms, he looks up. Standing 20 feet away, toward that trailer, is another bear. He's holding a shotgun. Devin stares, feeling himself become oddly detached from the situation. His mind is still overwhelmed with what just happened to Cameron. That's what he wants to focus on, but the shotgun has his attention now, and just for a moment, Devin thinks about just running. If he applies logic to the situation, he assumes the other bear won't shoot, but something in his eyes... something is off. So Devin says what he hopes will make clear to the other bear that they're not a threat. We need help. We're stranded and our friend is unconscious. The old-looking bear focuses on him for several seconds. Devin hears the rustling of dead leaves and foliage next to him as Arturo moves. Suddenly, the bear swings the shotgun around to point to Devin's right. Don't you move, boy! Hey, I'm sorry, don't shoot! Arturo sounds terrified, his voice strained and high-pitched. The old bear stares at Artie for several seconds before pointing the shotgun down toward the ground, but only slightly. The bear gestures at the coyote. You doing something to him? What? Doing something? No, we're trying to help him. Something attacked him. We need to get him help. The older bear grimaces. What do you mean, something? Dev hesitates, at least until the gun is shifted in his direction. No, wait! I'm not waiting. You show up on my property, making all kinds of sounds, and you're standing there with a knocked out yoke. Hey, we didn't do anything to him. We're trying to help. The bear growls. I don't care if you're trying to help him or trying to fuck him. I want to know the truth, not that something happened. The standoff continues for a few more seconds before Dev jumps in again. It was something dark, like a shadow. I called it something because I didn't get a good chance to see it, but it jumped on him and disappeared. Devin realizes what he's saying as he says it, and half expects to be shot for saying something so stupid. I swear to God that's what happened. The old bear's eyes flick to Artie, and the cat quickly throws his support behind the ridiculous statement. Yeah, that is what happened. I don't know what the fuck it was, but it was there. It was dark and had red eyes or some shit. I don't even think we should be out here right now. Devin, once again, wants to tell Artie to shut up, that saying more is only going to make this situation worse. But Instead of getting angry again, an odd expression comes over the other bear's face. One that Devin can't quite decipher. Then he finally speaks, casually bringing the shotgun up to rest over his shoulder. And it jumped down on him. Now, you out there? Yeah. Alrighty, so I'm guessing y'all are on some drugs or some shit. No. Using out in the heat ain't never a smart idea. We weren't. Devin trails off, realizing this doesn't matter at all right now. We need to get him help. He's not waking up. Devin kneels, resting Cameron on the ground as he half props him up, needing to rest his tiring arms. There's a pause in which the older bear just stares down at them. A pause that's long enough that Dev opens his mouth to speak again. But that's finally when the older bear seems to break out of his trance. Shit, of course. Sorry about the gun and all. It's just that I always get a bunch of coots on my property every now and then. Devin looks up at the suddenly friendly bear. In the back of his mind, he thinks he can almost hear sirens. Very familiar sirens. Shit's not even loaded. The bear grunts as he brings the shotgun forward, pointing it back toward the ground before it seems to break in half as the stock suddenly drops down. The bear turns to show them that the barrels are empty. That actually does make Devin feel a bit better, even if the gun had been pointing at them just minutes ago. The bear then closes it with a snap. So, I think your best bet is to call the proper authorities so they can get some help out here. Do you know how we can do that? There's no service here. Of course there ain't. There is service just outside of town to the east. Works whenever I go out there to make a call. Dev's heart leaps in his chest, the idea that there might actually be a quick way out of this situation. He looks in an eastward direction, ready to set off immediately. Hold on. It's a little ways out there, and it's a pretty specific spot. I can give you a quick ride. No more than 5 minutes. The old bear turns away and starts making his way toward the trailer. Artie glances at him, clearly uneasy about all of this. Dev is hesitant himself, because of course he would be. Anyone would be. But after everything they've been through... Devin looks down at Cameron, the coyote still breathing steadily, now looking almost peaceful. Still, fear grips the bear's chest. The fact that Cameron still isn't waking up, slowly increasing his worry to the point of panic again. So he sets his jaw and follows the old bear. He half expects Artie not to follow, but he does, and the four of them disappear further into the trees. Cameron's agony had seemed as if it might last forever. The feeling of suffocation going on and on. But after an immeasurable amount of time, the fingers over his mouth and nostrils had dissolved into the blackness. So did the voices, diminished into indistinguishable whispers. Now his breaths come slow and steady, but he has to focus on them. To consciously inhale and exhale so that it won't stop. While the experience is terrifying, the laborious nature of it almost ensures that he won't hyperventilate. After a time, the terror fades into a dull, hollow desperation, accompanied by spurts of panic each time he remembers he's somewhere he doesn't understand, and he can't seem to escape it. Then, gradually, even that dissolves, and like a dream within a dream, it fades away. Cameron's vision is blurry at first, and it stays that way as his eyes remain mostly closed, unfocused. Fear hitches in his chest again before he realizes that he'd been breathing normally without the need to focus on it. And that's when he notices that what he can see is a bit odd. Looks kind of like himself. Cameron stares, still feeling groggy and out of it, trying to make sense of what he's seeing. It's him, his reflection, but it's hard to understand why that's the case because it feels like he's lying down. First, the coyote wonders if maybe this is the floor mirror in their bathroom and that he passed out. Still, the angle is wrong, and that just leaves Cameron feeling more confused. Coyote closes his eyes again, trying to remember what happened last. He also begins to wonder why he's lying on something soft instead of the cold tile of the bathroom. Nothing makes sense. So he does the only thing he can think to do at this moment. Dev? He hears something shift around next to him. Cameron tries to clear his throat, but it's bone dry, so he swallows instead. Dev! Shit! Something is pressed to his lips, and sensing that it's water, Cameron drinks, getting several swallows before it's pulled away. Cameron then looks around, getting a full view of his surroundings. The voice hadn't sounded like Dev's, but Cameron can't imagine who else it could be. A large, furry brown shape moves into view. Cameron stares, first wondering what could have possibly happened to Dev. But then he realizes what a stupid thought that is. This is a different bear altogether. He also realizes that something is definitely wrong, that either he's still dreaming or that he's in a situation he can't even begin to understand. He quickly sits up and the old bear raises up a paw. Hey, hey, it's alright, kid. I'm here to help you. The voice is higher pitched than he would have expected from such a large creature. The coyote feels like he's heard it before, but he can't place it. Not right now, at least. I'm Brian. What about you? Cameron. Cameron responds automatically, even though a smaller voice in the back of his head tells him this isn't right. None of this is right. Well, hi there, Cameron. You're probably wondering where the hell you are, huh? Well, the bear's demeanor is friendly enough. His appearance definitely isn't. Again, Cameron desperately tries to remember exactly what happened last and where exactly he might be. He nods anyway, instinctively trying to keep up the facade that he's fine, and he doesn't suspect that everything is wrong. Well, it's a funny story, but I heard some shouting outside, and when I went out there, I found you and your friends. You were unconscious, of course. Dev? Was he a bear? Cameron looks around hopefully, as if Dev might be there with them. It's only then that he realizes they're in a trailer, and fragments of what happened recently start to come back to him. Leaves him feeling all the more uneasy. Yeah, bear like myself. There was a cat, too. Artie. The memories of the past and the past day and a half come back to the coyote slowly, and with it comes a feeling of anxiety and dread. Either he's in trouble or he was in trouble, and somehow this bear is here trying to help him. Well, I didn't get his name. He ran off just as I was getting there. Where's Dev? The bear, I mean. Is he here? Yeah, about that. The bear shifts around on the bed he's sitting on, making the springs squeak. What happened is, after the cat ran off and you were unconscious, your bear friend, Devin, right? You decided to make a run for the highway to get you help. Cameron stays quiet as he tries to absorb that. Bear's sentence makes sense, technically, but at the same time it's confusing. Why would Devin leave him here, alone with this bear? Now Cameron remembers that they were on a trip of some kind. A trip to Echo. The voice, the trailer. Cameron starts looking around again, trying to spot a shotgun, because now he's starting to realize who this might be. I don't... He comes up short, at a complete loss. What he wants to say is that he wants to see Dev, but if what the bear said is true, there's not much that he can do. Does Devin know I'm here? Of course he does. Seemed real worried about you. Said he would have had the cat help, but we're not even sure where he ran off to. Why'd he run? Well... Brian pauses, seeming to think back and also seeming to hesitant to say something. Cameron tenses up, the feeling of wrongness returning. It's kinda hard to explain, but something spooked him. Recalling the events of the past few days seems to gain momentum, and now he can vaguely remember what happened just before he ended up here. He was standing in the forest, ears down, hearing that awful static. But what exactly happened after that is still a bit foggy. What was it? Well, this might sound crazy, but I've lived here a good while, and sometimes there's this thing in the trees that comes after me. Thing? What an odd thing to say. But then he remembers something strange right before he lost consciousness. A dark shadow dropping on top of him before he disappeared into another world, locked in that terrible embrace. A shadow. Though he says it softly, the bear clearly hears him. Cameron swallows hard, still feeling like this situation is very off, even when considering the circumstances. But Brian smiles in a way that's almost sympathetic. Did it happen to sound like static? White noise? Cameron looks at the bear carefully before he nods. Yep, I've seen it myself. Some of us can just see things that others can't. Cameron swallows loudly. You see things too? Yeah, always could. Don't know why. Through all the confusion and terror and all the people, this bear seems to understand exactly what Cameron is going through. He feels a sudden sense of kinship with the bear. Then Cameron remembers his phone, quickly pulling it out and holding down the power button. The screen flickers on for just a moment before multiple vertical lines of black appear on the screen, which widens steadily before the entire display goes black. Cameron is confused, then remembers the fall into the lake, and he even sees some moisture still under the screen. Shit. Brian grunts. Your phone busted? Shame. No service out here anyway. How long ago did he leave? About 2-3 hours ago. He's been unconscious that long? Still, the anxiety is telling Cameron to move, to go. I think I should go after him. Thanks for your help, though. Cameron suddenly stands, but a wave of dizziness comes over him. Oh, fuck. The coyote catches himself against the wall, feeling weak and confused. Whoa there, kid. I don't think you're in the best condition to go out there. Might pass out again, and that bear seemed real intent on me keeping you safe. Cameron has to lean against the wall slightly, catching his breath. He didn't realize he's still messed up. Makes sense since he's been out for so long. It's just odd that it seems to be getting worse. Whatever that creature did to him, it feels serious. As if reading his thoughts, the bear brings up the entity. Besides, I don't think you should go out there while that shadow creature is still hanging around. Been seeing it through the window a few times. I don't want to scare you, but I think it wants you. Cameron glances up at the window nearest to them. Instead of the shadow, he's surprised to see Raincoat Monster just beyond the trees, partially hidden in a strange, crouching position. Stranger still are the odd, shivering, twitching motions the creature is making. Though its face is mostly hidden, Cameron can tell he's being looked at. Even after everything he's been through, the coyote finds himself lowering his gaze quickly. Once again, just like when he was 8 years old, he's afraid of this hallucination. Or rather, he's afraid of this imitation of the hallucination. Considering that it's moving so violently, that's what this is. You see it? No, it's something else. Oh, what is it? Sometimes I see other really disturbing stuff in those woods. Well, most places in this town, actually. It's something more personal. Cameron is caught between wanting to stay cautious of this man, but also wanting to confide in him. After the trauma of the past 2 days combined with feeling almost abandoned by his boyfriend, the coyote is desperate for some kind of connection. What kind of things do you see? Brian looks hesitant. I don't want to freak you out more than you already are. I'm okay, just wondering if maybe we see similar things. Cameron smiles at him, and that seems to throw the bear off for some reason. Huh, well... And he seems to snap out of it. To be honest, I see people getting killed, usually. Not sure if it's real, like from the past, or if it ain't. Sometimes it just feels like something being made up. Cameron can understand that feeling. Yeah, Another wave of weakness and exhaustion. Sorry, I'm still really tired. Cameron slides down the wall to sit again, still feeling out of it. But at least he feels somewhat comfortable with the bear now. Makes sense after what you went through. You want my bed? I'm good. I just need to catch my breath. He's not quite that comfortable with him. This is gonna sound weird too, but I see a ton of stuff in this town, and sometimes it feels made up. Like, I saw a UFO, like an alien spaceship above a body today. Brian stares at Cameron. I see. Just as he was beginning to feel comfortable, the coyote feels himself back on edge. Did he say something wrong? I mean, I don't know if it was a UFO, but it looked... You're fine, kid. It's just that I haven't known anyone else that's seen something that I've seen too. It was on that dirt road, right? Circular shape with a bunch of red lights on it. Cameron perks up. There's little question in his mind now that this bear is definitely like him. Yeah, and like... Shit, when did the space shuttle explode? Like, the mid-80s, I think? This time Brian lets out a little laugh of surprise, maybe a little disbelief as well. 86 to be exact. Damn, that's crazy. I met a few people like it, but you're on a whole new level, kid. Cameron stares back, briefly wondering if he's still dreaming all of this. It's almost too jarring trying to understand how he ended up here with this bear. But if it is a dream, it's not the worst one. Can you help me find Devin? Maybe you could take me up the road to the highway and we could catch up to him. The bear leans back, scratching his head. I don't know about that, kid. He took off at a good pace, and I'll bet he's probably already reached the highway by now. Probably in the process of alerting the authorities. Cameron twists the hem of his shirt in his paws, feeling a sickening, growing knot of worry in the pit of his stomach. He just wants to run and find Dev and escape the town with him, but the threat of what's out there is very real, and Cameron does not want to repeat what happened out there in the forest. And apparently, Dev already escaped without him. It makes sense why he had to leave him behind, but that doesn't mean he doesn't hurt. Only now are the memories of what happened during his blackout returning. And only now does he remember how it felt like being in hell. Can that shadow creature get in here? Nah, it seems to avoid the trailer. Don't know why. You okay? Cameron rubs his eyes with both paws. I don't know. His increasingly heavy breaths prompts Brian to crouch in front of him, patting his shoulder roughly. Hey, you're fine. I'll make you something, okay? How does some tea sound? That always calms me down. The pats jolt the coyote back to wakefulness, and he nods, if only to get the bear to focus on something other than him. Okay. Great, I'll get started on it then. Just relax for now. The wind whips violently in Devon's face. It's powerful enough that he can barely breathe. The ominous sound of the sirens were really the only thing that guaranteed he'd be home as soon as he possibly could be. He always took their warnings seriously, because what they warned of always terrified him. So now, in this haze of pain and horror, he wonders why he didn't heed the warnings. The mile-wide tornadoes that rip across the plains of his home state evoke a primal fear in him that few other things do. He'd felt that fear moments before his world became a red flash of pain. Before he saw Artie crumple lifeless to the ground at the same time a pop echoed through the air. Before he was made to drink from that plastic bottle of water the other bear had brought out of his trailer. And before his paws were tightly bound above his head. As Devon briefly comes to in the red glow of this metal container he's in, to the sound of metal change and the feeling of cramped heat, he knows he should be doing something. He should be helping someone he deeply cares about. Lupita, Artie, Cameron. His voice is rough, dry, on the verge of breaking. His chest feels as if it's being crushed. Devon sinks back into the darkness, even while his mind roils in terror. Even as the F5 tornado continues to barrel right toward him. Alright, that's a good spot for a break.